Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Bullhornbeach. It's deer season, so I'm wearing my orange hat out here today. I don't think anybody will be shooting at me since I'm on my own land, but you never know, people in Central Arkansas, what they're going to do. And also I wanted to wear it to say thanks to my brother-in-law Jeff for giving it to me. Pretty cool. So anyway, deer season. I went out to go hunting this morning, and the tree trimmers decided to show up. We've got a power line going down the road that leads to my land up here, and they decided it was time to trim the trees out there. So nothing moving around here today. Anyway, today what I wanted to talk about, a buddy of mine had asked me about the various cutting tools that I use. Lots of them out there. A lot of people have done videos on them, but I wanted to show you just kind of a variety of what I've got here, and then what I take most of the time when I go in the woods with me. So to start with, couple little hatchets. I'm not real big on chopping. I'd rather have a saw. Let's start with this one. This one's special. My father-in-law made this one from a double bit axe, and he has the matching hatchet to go with it. He gave it to me. I guess he thought I was worthy of it. I don't know. But anyway, he gave this to me, and it's great for chopping up kindling, something like that that's not real big. I got this one from a buddy that I used to work with. He wanted for a while I did some refinishing on axe heads and various tools, and he brought this one and a double bit to work with him and asked me to restore them for him. And I told him, I said I'd do it for free, put a handle on it and everything, if I could have the hatchet head. He said sure. So that's how I ended up with this guy. And I'll carry it occasionally, probably a little bit more than I carry the other one, because the other one I want to kind of protect it and take care of it. This one, I hack with it. Okay, so those are the two hatchets. I've got some axes, but I rarely ever carry an axe with me. Most of those were just restoration projects. Next, saws. I've got a few different saws. I've got this little book saw here. These are convenient because you can break them down and change the blade on them pretty easily. But you can see how rusty this blade is. I don't know if I've even ever used this more than once or twice maybe. The blades that come on them are not very sharp, so if you use one of these, you really need to buy a different blade than comes with it. I put a wing nut on this end, so up to 4 inches or whatever you can cut with that. We got the Baco Laplander. Of course, a lot of people use these. They're really good saws. You've seen them in my videos before when I've used them. There's not much I can say about this that somebody else hasn't already said. It's just a really, really good saw. Got a little bit more flex than I like in it, but other than that, it's very sharp. Came that way right out of the box, and it cuts fabulously. Good thing about these type of saws is you don't have a bar up here stopping you from cutting through a larger piece. Granted, it's only about a 6-inch blade, but nevertheless, you can cut through a decent sized stick with one of these, and they do cut good. Small and compact, they pack easy. This is my Big Daddy. You can cut a pretty decent sized log with this. I'm not sure what's driving by me out there, but they're going real slow down the road. Anyway, this is a 24-inch saw that my father gave me as a gift a long time ago. It's also got the wing nut on the end of it. I didn't want to take a chance as much of losing that, so when I'm out, I just keep an eye on the wing nut. There's one there, there's one here. The problem I have found with the larger saws like this is when you're cutting with it, the blade tends to turn inside the wood, and so you end up cutting kind of around a corner in there. What I do is I'll cut one side, third of the way through, then turn the log and cut from that side, and then break the stick in half. But these are really good. I've used this thing a lot. Back when we built our house here, I was using this when we were clearing our land to cut up little pieces of firewood before I had a chainsaw. And we'd use that for campfires and stuff out here before we had our house built. So anyway, this one's been used a lot. The plastic handles on them do have a tendency to break. This one so far has held up fine, but the plastic handle will break. The important thing is this is connected. The blade is connected through the metal part of the handle, not to the plastic part of the blade. So if you ever want to get one of these, just make sure that blade's connected on the handle, and even if it does break, then the saw's still good. So yeah, I like that one. This little saw you saw in another video that I did, I think when I put this cook system together out here. I'll take a minute, put this together, and then we'll go over it. But it's all contained in this tiny little tube, which is really cool. Tech Sport Authentic Adventure Gear. So let me get this put together real quick. Okay, so that's the little saw that comes out of the tube. The tube is comprised of the two handles on it. This piece just fits down inside the two handles, as well as two blades, and then this rod goes through there, and the cap screw on the end of it keeps it all together. And then you just assemble it like this. You just assemble it the same way. It's really a cool little saw. Again, only, you know, a 4-inch log or whatever, but if you're out camping, this is really convenient to carry. These things are super cool, I think. Knives. This was one of my first purchases I made, was the CONDOR Cretalis, and it is a beast of a knife. This thing, it's got a 5mm blade on it, and I had to put my own edge on it, the 90-degree spine. It did not have that when I got it. I see some rust on it. It must have got wet. But anyway, that is a beast of a knife. It's a little bit large for my hand, but it's still good. It's still good for cutting. For fine carving, it's not quite as good just because it's such a big blade, for me anyway. Other people may think it's great, but I like the knife, and I just usually hook this to my pack, and I've got it as a backup. The sheath is the Kydex sheath, and I've heard people say there's ways you can modify these sheaths on here so the blade goes in and out easier. That time it went right in, of course, because I was telling you how hard it was. Yeah, it sticks sometimes, and when it's on your side, doing it one-handed, it's sometimes hard to get back in the sheath. But it's a good knife. I like it. CONDOR Cretalis. Alright, if you really want to go on the cheap, pick you up one of these at Coleman. I got this at a Coleman store. One day I just saw it, picked it up, thought it was cool. I think I paid like $8 for this knife. I didn't like the handle that was on it, so I took that one off and just used a couple of pieces of 2x4 I cut down on the sides and then shaped it to the tang that goes through there. It is a full tang knife, which is kind of nice. Just not a bad little knife. It would be a good backup knife. I wouldn't want this one, I don't think, as my primary carry. It does have a sharp spine on it, although I've never tried it on a ferro rod. But pretty cool. The handle I like much better now that I've made my own handle for it. It just fits better. The other one, the handle exposed part of the tang, and when you held onto it, it wasn't very comfortable to me. That's why I changed it out. The Mora Bushcraft Pathfinder. My very first YouTube video was a small review on this knife, and it wasn't a very good video because I didn't know what I was doing. Not that I do now. But anyway, this knife was a gift from my wife. I didn't even know it was coming, and she just handed it to me one day and said, "Here, this box is for you." I was like, "Oh, cool, what'd you give me?" And this is what it was. So this is just like the Bushcraft Black. It's a little bit larger though. That's the difference. I'll get that out here in a second. We'll compare them. They're Sweden-made, high carbon steel, so you can get a spark off of them, and they come with a sharp spine on them, so you can hit them with a ferro rod, and they work really, really well. Mora Bushcraft Pathfinder, and Dave Canterbury inspired that one, I believe. This one, the sheath, it's quite large. I like the sheath that comes with the Bushcraft Black a little bit better than this one. It pokes into your sides right here. I've got these glove handle things, and that is not real comfortable. Compare that to the Bushcraft Black. Okay, so there you can see the difference in size. I see a few other minor differences, not much though. The handle appears to be identical on these things. The black has a little green piece there where the tang is. This one is a black piece. Makes sense. And the actual word Mora is on opposite sides of the knife, so if I do this, the word Mora is facing each other. Not sure why they did that, but it doesn't matter. They're both really good knives. Both good knives. I like both of them. As you can see, the blade is a third larger, probably twice as wide. The thickness appears to be about the same on them, and I think they're 3.2 millimeters if I remember right. Good knives. Last but not least, my very first bushcraft knife, the Old Hickory. They're a good high carbon steel knife, and they will throw a spark for you, and they're not expensive. I've looked at these in stores like flea markets or something, and you know, 10 bucks, 15 bucks, you can pick up a good Old Hickory knife. It doesn't come with a real good spine on it, but it's not bad. It could be ground down a little bit, and just with a file, and you could easily get a spark with that. And it may even throw a spark now. I don't have a ferro rod with me, or I'd try it. But anyway, that's my first bushcraft knife, so of course I'll keep it forever. I'll take care of it because it was a gift from my kids. Okay, a couple of other little things is I've got this little Leatherman folder that I carry. I don't carry it every day, but I'll throw it in my pocket occasionally. It's got about a 2.5 inch blade on it. I don't know exactly. Locks in place. It's also got a clip on the back of it that doubles as a bottle opener. So if you take a beer in the woods with you, or a bottle of some kind, it will pop the cap off of that. What I do carry every day, this little guy. That goes in my pocket every single day. It's the little Victronics Swiss Army knife. It's got a couple of little blades on it. It's nothing fancy. Got a little DNA coming off of it. The blade, the file, the little screwdriver, the scissors, the toothpick, and the tweezers. Now these little tweezers have come in more handy than you can imagine. I have used these things hundreds of times to pull out splinters that I get when I'm out here cutting a piece of wood or something, you know. And so those tweezers alone made this worth the 11 bucks I paid for it on eBay. Okay, what I take to the woods with me every time I go out, or at least 90% of the time, Bushcraft Black, Baco Laplander. Love these two tools. Everything I've got here is good in its own way, but these two guys have really proven themselves over the years to me, and I really like those two tools. So they go with me all the time. Anyway, if you have any questions on any of the stuff that I've shown here, I don't know if I can answer them, but I'll try. Just leave something in the comments for me. Anyway guys, thanks again for watching here at Bullhornbeach, and we'll see you next time.